Yeah. Well, I mean, how I feel in the morning is freedom.
Good morning, Reading! We're here. We're heterosexual. We're proud of it.
That's not popular anymore, Nick. I'm sorry.
So, I went to Corky Harmon's town hall last night.
Where was that at?
It was in Palisadro.
Okay.
It was more of a question and answer. It wasn't really a town hall. I would say there was about 20 people there. And I've got to say something about Corky. You know, he didn't articulate himself too well when he first showed up on the scene. He's gotten better. He was real easy to talk with. He addressed the crowd real well last night. Let's see, Tonto and the Pillsbury Doughboy were there, and they had to bring up that the 1 cent sales tax, and that just it's got nothing to do with the county. It's the city, but
Yeah.
by God, they think we should vote it in because every other city besides Yuba City in California has a sales tax and we don't. Like we're being left out.
So why would they bring that to Corky? What is he? He's got nothing to do with it.
I think maybe they need attention.
Gotcha. Or do they not actually know whose jurisdiction is what? Or, I mean, they just like to complain or just push.
Anytime they get the opportunity to speak and let everybody know how smart they are, they take them up on it.
Gotcha.
And
Was there any time limits or anything, or just?
No, it
Okay.
was just a conversation with Corky.
Yeah.
You know, I asked him something. You could ask him anything you wanted to ask him. And I asked him, I said, you're in the aggregate business. I said, is Shasta Dam ever going to get raised? Is that going to happen? And he said something to the effect, well, I've had the big shots out and talked to them, and I asked them point blank, is this going to happen? And they said, yes.
Okay. Well, fair enough.
He said, I don't know if it's 5 years, 10 years, or longer, but they said yes.
Yeah, I wonder if there's any houses that are
Sure.
gonna have to get moved or anything. I lived in a house. It was to be honest, it was a haunted house. And if you don't believe in this kind of stuff, whatever, it doesn't hurt my feelings. But when you experience things like that, but I did live in a house that was pulled out of Whiskey Town. It was an old whorehouse and had. But anyways, yeah, it was kind of cool.
I thought we were going to leave sex out of this.
I know.
Tell us about the whores.
Well, I don't know what kind of ghosts were in there, but there's a lot of, that's a whole nother, we could do a whole episode on that, but you could hear people talking and things were manipulated and stuff. And I don't expect people to believe it because I didn't believe in this stuff until I experienced it, myself, but I lived in the house for about 3 years and there's a lot of people that lived in that house that I know. About half of them experienced things or believed in stuff. The other half couldn't see it or couldn't hear it or whatever. But when I go to bed at night, I just go, I love you guys. I just leave me at peace. I'll leave you alone. You leave me alone. There was two back rooms in the house. So it was kind of like about a third of the house was storage for antiques because it was an antique store right across from the Millhouse Deli. And if anybody's listening, maybe they might actually know people or have lived there in the audience. Quite a few people moved in and out of that house. I'm hearing something in the background. I don't know if what's going on. But anyways, it was quite interesting. My dogs used to go back and bark in the back of the house. So I think the ghosts used to hang out in the back of the where the antiques were stored and stuff. But let's not get off track because people are going to be like,
let's get back to the 1 cent
Yes,
sales tax.
yes.
I was thinking about it this morning, and it appears to me that the city of Reading is the snake that ate itself. You ever seen a picture of that snake that was eating its own tail?
Yeah, that's actually, that has a lot of historical meaning to it.
Well, that's a pretty good description to me of what has happened to the city of Reading. And, I don't know, probably a lot of people aren't aware of this, but in Transparent California, the 2024 salaries for city employees came out. And this just shook me to the core. Barry Tippin got a little bit of a raise from 23 to 24, $131,000. And I'm real anxious to see how much he made in 2025. That's quite a raise. His base salary in 2024 was
Imagine being able to build an app with
was $287,000, and it bumped up to $330,000. What's that? That's a $43,000 raise. And then, the rest of it is his health insurance.
And some people don't even make 43,000.
The average salary in Reading is $37,000.
Yeah.
That's the average. And if you took these guys out of that average, because they're factored in, it would drop down considerably, in my opinion. There was 5 people making over $500,000 a year in the city of Reading.
And now, is that including benefits and all that kind of stuff, or
benefits?
Are we talking about salary?
We're talking about everything.
Okay.
Benefits are part of your salary. If
No,
you're
I know.
getting free health care, I'm just explaining to the
Yeah.
audience.
Oh.
If you're getting free health care, that's part of your pay.
Yeah.
If your pension's getting serviced by the taxpayers, that's part of your pay. So, yes, that's the whole thing is what your compensation is.
Yeah.
Like I say, his base salary was $330,000.
Yeah.
And his overall compensation was $589.5
Wow.
thousand.
Wow. That's incredible.
And there's a police chief. His overall compensation was $662,000. Now, his base pay was $231,000. No, yeah, it was $231.7 thousand, and his overtime was $255,000. So he worked a lot of hours to get all that.
So that costs. Who was it that got 665, or what did you say?
He was a police chief.
Yeah, I mean, you divide that
chief.
by 12. That's $55,000 in taxpayer money a month.
We pay real well here in the city of Reading.
$55,000 a month.
Oh my goodness!
Jeez.
Isn't that something?
Wow.
And we can't afford to keep our sports park open. We can't afford to keep we've got to have a 1-cent sales tax, or we're going to have to shut down all these services, these extra services we have.
Yeah. Do we have a tax problem, or do we have a fiscal responsibility problem?
I would say the latter of the two. It's really frustrating for somebody that works hard, and you assume that the people you elect are going to represent you. And, we didn't sign up for this. We
Yeah.
signed up for law and order. I've nicknamed the homeless Barry's kids because, before Barry became city manager, they weren't a tenth of the problem they are now. And what we've got going on is, and I give up fighting it, we are the regional, everything north of Sacramento, we're the regional place for people that can't support themselves, people that need to be in the nut house, for you proper people, sanitarium, and we've got more coming and coming and coming. You heard last week about the sex offenders on the Bocelli Lane, the hotel up there. I think there was 23. We've got out-of-town parolees coming here. In my opinion, it all started with Leonard Modi and Christian Schrader.
Yeah.
They're the ones that wanted to make us a homeless mecca. If we'd have had a supervisor that represented our interests instead of Leonard Modi, we would have had a jail and we would be discouraging these people from coming here. But right now, we're encouraging them to come here. There's a new mental health facility that's going to come in here. A coalition of major healthcare providers and nonprofit groups have partnered to create a regional behavioral health campus to help meet what they call the growing need in the North State. Well, when we get a mental health campus, our growing need is going to get bigger because we're the only place that has one, and they're going to send us all their nuts. Well, wouldn't you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, I love it.
And the people that are involved in this is Arch Collaborative. That's a unified entity. Leading the effort is Arch Collaborative, One Safe Place, Children's Legacy Center, Shasta Health Assessment and Redesign Collaborative, And who is going to run it is Signature Health Services, LLC, who they're going to operate the program. They operate 19 acute care hospitals in several states. So these 3 or 4, they partnered to get this outfit to run a regional nut house that's going to attract all the nuts. And don't think that Sacramento and San Francisco won't be sending some of their nuts up here like they haven't already.
Yeah. There's a lot of opportunity to make a lot of money. And then if you look at this thing kind of on a large scale, just you could look at it on a micro scale, like a Shasta County or Redding thing, and then you could look at it on a global scale, all the way up to that. But if you, sometimes people create problems and then they can create a solution to the problem.
And they're a hero.
And you can, yeah, and you're a hero, and you can justify all kinds of funding for things. You know, so imagine if we had 90% less crime, then how much less law enforcement would we need? Which I'm all for law and order, but I'm just saying you can get these big budgets, whatever it is. You go out and that's why they have to fix up the roads every year, Caltrans and everything. They got to put corners in on roads that don't need it. When I don't understand why they don't prioritize on the deterioration of the infrastructure. But anyways, the point was creating problems and then creating the solutions to the problem and benefiting financially and sometimes with control also.
We've got other mental health facilities people don't know about. There's one on Oregon Street right behind House of Realty. I don't remember what the name of it is or who's putting it, but we've got these nonprofits bringing these things to our community. Out of town and out of state nonprofits. You take the parolees that are being paroled here that aren't from here, that didn't commit their crime here. There's a outfit called West Care California, is a Nevada-based nonprofit that the state pays to manage programs in the Central Valley in Northern California. They're the ones that are renting some of these blocks of hotel rooms and putting out-of-town parolees in them. And I don't know what services but they're getting, but I've never heard of a sex offender, especially a pedophile, that got rehabbed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's always an exception, but the statistics are of repeat offenders. And you got to realize when you're going off of statistics, that's just people that got caught.
Yes.
I mean, is there any rehabbed I don't know. I mean, you probably, if you're a pedophile, I'm not talking about an 18-year-old that slept with a 17-year-old. I'm talking, we're talking about, like
adults that are sleeping or raping children under 14.
I think you should just be put down.
Oh, that works for me real well.
I mean, why try to rehab? Obviously, you're a bad seed, or however you want to put it. That's a deep discussion, but the reality is you're gonna get out and you're gonna do it again. How are you gonna change if you're that evil? I don't think you can repent. I don't think you can,
especially
change
if the court says you have to.
Yeah, you're gonna go through some process. The thing is if you have that sickness, that's something that I don't know. I don't think that could be overcome. And if it was, it doesn't really matter. I think you should be put down.
Oh, I
just
do
like
too.
A bad dog.
The irreparable harm that you have done to some of these young people.
We had a dog.
You can't make up for that.
We had a dog when I was a kid, and this dog we got it from the pound, and the dog acted normal. Well, when I'd take this dog on a walk, I was about maybe 10 years old, right around there. I could think about the time because I moved from Humboldt to Yuba City with my grandparents because we were kind of poor. Stayed there for a little bit. And we had this dog, and we got it from the pound because we didn't have money and we didn't buy expensive dogs. Long story short is I would take this dog on a walk, and it would get all wild and fight me. Like, it would come and attack me. And I thought it was fun because I would grapple, I'd kick the dog, and we had this sparring match. And for me, it was kind of fun. Well, one day we went to the coast, and this dog that we had, we went back home to the coast just to go, visit friends and stuff like that. And the dog on the beach went up and bit this kid right in the face.
Oh no, I bet that went over
and
like
it was a
balloon.
baby actually. It was like a like an 18-month-old baby, and we had to put that dog down. It was a bad dog.
Sure. Oh
And
yes.
Couldn't let it go around biting kids in the face. Babies.
Well, that's nature's way of weeding out the culls.
Yeah.
So, okay, we've got one group bringing pedophiles to our region, and Redding's a regional center. We've got another group bringing mentally ill to our region, and then we've got a group bringing homeless to our region.
And they're all doing this out of the goodness of their heart. There's no money being made, right?
Oh, absolutely. But, you know, how are we going to stop this? We're not going to stop this. This is just the way it is. And it's been going on for, 12, 15 years? And I don't know. It's disgusting as hell to me because, in my opinion, this isn't what the taxpayers wanted. It certainly isn't what I wanted. And, we're stuck with it. And we get these people in city council especially that are, stand behind this, want to give them more money, encouraging it, like the Goodwill homeless magnet. That's what it is. They had a rehab down there, and I remember there was a knife fight. And 3 of them were kicked out. They got in a knife fight there at the Goodwill homeless magnet in the rehab situation, and they got booted out of it. So it's our problem on the street. Now, 2 of them, one of them was from Florida and one of them was from Hercules down here in the Bay Area, and one was local. So they're booted out on the streets, and we're stuck with them in our criminal system.
So
The police have to deal with them probably day in and day out because they don't have any place to lock them up in the jail. Thank you, Leonard.
yeah, I'm not for socialism necessarily. I think in certain aspects, like a fire department, you could consider that kind of a type of socialism. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but where we all collectively put money into this system that can help us from fires and stuff, right? So I know.
The reason we have government
Yeah.
is to provide safety and infrastructure we can't provide for ourselves, like streets, sewers,
Yeah.
water systems.
Absolutely.
That's it. Everything else has been added on.
So I think that we do need some type of highly regulated, efficient systems for people that do need help, but only for our own people. You know what I mean? I think that if you're from Shasta County, we should have some kind of system that's not taken advantage of for people from Shasta County. And I think everybody else should deal with their own problems.
Well, I'm 100% with you on that. I was reading an article a couple of years ago. There was some nonprofits in San Francisco. The Ford Foundation was one of them. Hewlett-Packard was one of them. I forget who the others were. But they would take a homeless group, family. The one I read about was a guy and his son, and they would relocate them in a different community and pay their rent for a year. Well, after a year, you're stuck with them.
Yeah.
And
So they're local now.
yes. And there's just so much of that that's going on, and we're bleeding hearts for it. In fact, I think we encourage them to come here.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
And it's just really frustrating, and it gets out of hand. And I just wonder how much better our community would be without that. How much less fire calls would the fire department have to go on if we didn't have homeless out of other people's homeless living in our grain spots having warming fires? I wonder how many less calls our police would have to go on if we didn't have out-of-town homeless here creating problems. Parolees that are stuck in a local motel that don't have anything to do all day. You know, idle time is the devil's workshop.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'd be curious what percentage of the ambulances going around are, how much of their time is eaten up over that.
Oh, yes, and our fire trucks, they have to be replaced. I don't know what the hours on, but every so many hours they replace them. So let's say it's 2,000 hours. Well, gosh, you see 2 fire trucks and an ambulance over there servicing a homeless person that
Yeah.
fell down. And boy, I tell you, it just seems like to me we're wearing them out going on medical calls that weren't necessary.
Yeah, and I was specifically talking about the ODs, personally, just because that's a self-induced thing. I think that there's some situations where I'm not opposed to people needing help, but when you're doing it to yourself, there was there was this guy who OD'd on the street, and the paramedics were very rude to him, like very rude. And I kind of felt bad for the guy, and I thought they were being, but then when I realized I thought about it, and I go, that's probably like the 20th time they picked that same guy up.
There you go.
And how frustrated would you, it's like when you have kids and they do the same thing over and over and over and over again, and you're like, I already told you 20 times not to do this. You start to get a little frustrated.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's like babysitting, though. Like you got to pick this guy up who continues to shoot dope up his arm. Anyways,
that's right. And they've got to be frustrated as heck. There might be people that really need their help.
Yeah.
And they're out here dealing with somebody that has no intentions of cleaning up, rejoining society.
I wonder how much of that cost is passed on to people that actually pay for it. I had an ambulance ride when I broke my legs and my back, and they gave me a ride pretty much down the street, and it was $3,000.
Oh, gosh.
And we went like maybe half a mile.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, and I was pretty banged up, and they put me on a stretcher and all that stuff and gave me some kind of IV. And I mean, I'm glad that they gave me a ride, but I'm just saying how many people got a free ride
Why was
to where
it
they
so
got to charge you $3,000. It should have been like maybe 500, but probably only 1 out of 6 people pay.
Why was it so expensive? Well, you're making up for the people that can't pay.
Yeah, or else they'd be out of business.
My son, who plays roller hockey, he was a tough guy and wasn't wearing a face mask, and he had a puck hit him in the nose.
Oof.
And it was a little cut, and his friends up there at the rink talked him into going to the emergency room. He went to the emergency room, and the doctor put two drops of glue on it and called it good. It wasn't broke. Mm-hmm. Well, he got a $3,000 bill.
Yeah, that's what it was. I went and had my arm set, and it was 3,000 something.
So I called up the hospital. And I explained to him, Logan was a juvenile then. I explained to him, I'm just a lowly window washer. I don't have any money. Can you discount this bill? They discounted it to about $185 for the emergency room. Okay. The other one was the doctor. And I called them up, and they wouldn't discount it.
Yeah.
And they sent me collection notices from Sundial Physicians in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
So I just threw them away. And actually, I didn't hear from him again after about a half a dozen times throwing the bill away. But I got to talking to a gal that worked in the office, and she said, that is a entity that's put together by local doctors here. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't put a stain on their name, charging you so much for 2 drops of glue, which I thought was kind of,
That's why I tell my kids, we're stitching you up right here, son. No, I'm just joking.
Well, that's okay. I did that to my kitty cat.
Yeah.
Dog got my cat, and it had a cut about, 4 or 5 inches long in its stomach.
Yeah.
And I looked, and no internal organs were hurt or anything. And I said, well, I'm either going to have to kill it or stitch it up myself.
Yeah.
So I stitched her up.
Well, that would have, anybody who has deals with animals on a large scale. Here's an interesting fact. You can get sheep antibiotics, for instance, and you could buy big bags of it in a powder form, and it's like probably 1,000th the cost of the same thing that you would go get for your dog or a human, and just everything's taken advantage of. But when you have these types of problems on the ranch, you have to deal with it yourself. You can't.
That's right.
You can't afford to have a $5,000 vet bill every time, barbed wire snags on one of your animals, or something happens. You have to figure out a way to do all that stuff on your own, because it's expensive. I just had to do $3,000 for the dentist. My 7-year-old had a tooth fixed by the dentist, and it got infected and they had to pull a tooth on a 7-year-old, but that wasn't the expensive part. We had to do ozone therapy, and there was all this other problems. And then my other kid got some a cleaning, which his teeth were fine, but to be able to fix the problem, it wasn't as simple as just going and pull the tooth. But yeah, it was. And we had to go to Sacramento because we had to get some like specialty type stuff done.
You could save yourself a ton of money if you just had all his teeth pulled and got him some dentures.
Well, luckily his next tooth, which normally doesn't come till you're like 10 or 11,
Yeah.
is like right there ready to come right back out. So
Your permanent tooth, sure.
yeah, his permanent tooth's about to pop out, so it's not too bad.
I guess we've got a minute 18 till we've got to talk about our wonderful sponsors. I ran across this a month ago, and I wanted to read it. This clears up George Floyd. I got this out of a paper. George Floyd was a criminal and a sometimes thug. By the time he died of a drug overdose in 2020, he had spent at least 23 years committing crime. Over that 23-year period, he was arrested at least 9 times for everything from drug possession to distribution to theft to aggravated assault. He was stopped for a wide variety of other activities that required him to do community service and did not result in an arrest. 9 arrests over 23 years might not sound like a lot, but for more than 8 of those years, he was in prison and wasn't able to prey on people. That's George Floyd, the poor guy. You know, we murdered him because he didn't do nothing. Remember him?
Oh yeah, the guy that where the cop put his knee on his neck or whatever, and they say that he killed him.
Yeah, and in fact, he died of a drug overdose. He did a home invasion robbery with a couple of his buddies.
You think they could have came up with someone better though, to be like the person to have a revolution over, to create, because that whole thing is to push this false narrative that America's racist when we voted in Obama as Americans, who was a
I wish we were racist and didn't vote him in.
Right. So anyways, yeah, it's I can't believe that they used that guy as their poster child for the Black Lives Matter movement. You think they would be able to come up with someone better? I feel like sometimes the people behind these narratives just try to see like just how stupid are the Americans, you know? It's because the official narratives that we get told on a lot of this, they're unbelievable. And like they couldn't find somebody better than George Floyd. They couldn't find somebody better?
You know, if I was looking to buy a car, I don't think I could find anybody better than Taylor Motors.
Yeah.
And if I had to get my car fixed, I don't think I could find anybody better than Jefferson State Diesel.
Oh, yeah, Jefferson State Diesel.
Are we ready for a commercial break? Yep, I'm getting the nod here.
Well, Mr. Chairman, the Joint Chiefs, Generals, Admirals, Commanders, Officers, Senior Enlisted, NCOs, Enlisted, and every member of our American military, good morning. Good morning and welcome to the War Department, because the era of the Department of Defense is over. You see, the motto of my first platoon was, "Those who long for peace must prepare for war." This is, of course, not a new idea. This crowd knows that. The origin dates to the 4th century Rome and has been repeated ever since, including by our first commander-in-chief, George Washington, the first leader of the War Department. It captures a simple yet profound truth. To ensure peace, we must prepare for war. From this moment forward, the only mission of the newly restored Department of War is this: warfighting, preparing for war and preparing to win, unrelenting and uncompromising in that pursuit. Not because we want war, no one here wants war, but it's because we love peace. We love peace for our fellow citizens. They deserve peace, and they rightfully expect us to deliver it. Our number one job, of course, is to be strong so that we can prevent war in the first place. The president talks about it all the time. It's called peace through strength. And as history teaches us, the only people who actually deserve peace are those who are willing to wage war to defend it. That's why pacifism is so naive and dangerous. It ignores human nature and it ignores human history. Either you protect your people and your sovereignty, or you will be subservient to something or someone. It's a truth as old as time. And since waging war is so costly in blood and treasure, we owe our republic a military that will win any war we choose or any war that is thrust upon us. Should our enemies choose foolishly to challenge us, they will be crushed by the violence, precision, and ferocity of the War Department. In other words, to our enemies, F-A-F-O.
F-A-F-O. What's that stand for?
F around and find out.
There you go.
FAFO.
You know what? I was just listening to that, and the way he's talking, and I see Russia has been in war for what, 2 or 3 years with the Ukraine?
Oh, I think 4 years now.
And I'm seeing things that Trump's prepping us for war. I wonder if this isn't a good time to jump on their ass.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's just it's a very complex issue, and really, like, trying to get the real information is really difficult. There's so much misinformation. I mean, usually I'm pretty.
Thank God we've got an independent news media that wouldn't lie to us.
Yeah, there's been a lot of really bad stuff happening on, Ukraine, Zelensky. They've been genociding their own people, and I'd almost say I'd rather just stay out of it. Russia's been being by NATO and other countries. I mean, just surrounded by these missile systems. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Oh, yes.
And yeah, so I mean, you could only imagine from Russia's perspective, as far as NATO and all that kind of stuff going on, and talking about making Ukraine. Ukraine used to be a part of Russia, and I'm not saying right or wrong. If I had to, be on a side, I would say I'm probably more on the Russian side. I'm not saying they're perfect, but they're more pro-Christian, and I think they're genociding their people less than. I mean, they obviously eliminate political opposition and stuff like that. There's a lot of corruption. Every country is corrupt, but I'd say Ukraine was. I mean, they had massive bioweapon labs. There was a lot of things going on that I don't know about too. But just from what I know, is Ukraine is about as corrupt as they can get.
Well, there's a lot of people that think the United States is one of the most corrupt countries in the world.
That's 100% true.
But I agree with you. The thing that started this was NATO wanted Ukraine to join NATO.
Yeah.
And when we took down the walls, NATO in Germany, NATO said they wouldn't expand east, and now they're just all around Russia.
The treaty's been broke 6 times, I believe. The treaty of not moving any more NATO countries and eastward towards Russia.
And now we're supplying Ukraine with more weapons. We're giving them missiles that'll reach Moscow.
Yeah.
And the blessing to use them. So I wonder if maybe they're trying to pick a fight.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if the people are waking up, it's a double-edged sword, because once the people start to see that we're divided and conquered, what's the next level of the globalists' plan to distract us from what the real target is? Think about 9/11, okay? And 9/11 was a unified thing that brought Americans together.
That's right.
And then all of a sudden, we had the boogeyman. We had the Taliban. We had Osama bin Laden, who probably was dead before that ever even happened. And he
was dead before we killed him.
Yeah, there was the prime. I believe it was the prime minister of. I forget what country it was. It's been so long. She came on I'll have to pull that video up. I'll post it in the comments. I'll have to find it. And she came on and she said basically that she had 2 hits on her, and she was going to I don't remember exactly the name or where she was, but she did die a week after this, and she came out and had all the documents on Osama bin Laden having this incurable liver disease or it was a kidney disease, and that he had died, in 98 or 99 or something like that. And she came out in 2002 and said that he was 2002, 2003. And she said she had 3 really big bombshell things that she was exposing. And then she ended up, her car got bombed a week later.
Up.
Yeah, they shut her up. Now, I'm not saying for sure that's what happened, but this whole idea when Obama went in and killed Osama bin Laden. But going back to the point of 9/11 and what was happening right there? What was 9/11 all about? Was 9/11 did the planes bring those buildings down? I mean, I think it's pretty unbelievable.
Well, what did they take our eyes off of? What did 9/11 distract our attention from? I don't know. I'm just asking.
There was a lot of missing money. That was there was a lot. The point is whatever people were trying to figure out, whatever was being exposed at that point. First of all, the Patriot Act, all these huge government executive war type powers. They already had a new Pentagon design. They already had the Patriot Act, which is, I forget how many pages. Was it 800 pages or a couple thousand pages? I can't remember, but the thing was pretty much already written. And then, you can watch those buildings fall at free fall. And then what was it? The passport just happens to magically, there's none of the plane left, but a passport magically lands there with one of the Muslim guys. And then all of a sudden everybody's not looking at anything else except for the Taliban's, the boogeyman. And, so it's just a huge distraction. And here we are again. If people start to wake up against globalism and who the true enemies are, and it's not the 1%, it's the 0.00001%. It's the same people running the whole world, financing everything from pharmaceuticals to the media to the movies. It's not like it's
the same 1% that's ruining Reading.
0.0. Yeah. I mean, it's not even that, because how many people do we have in Shasta County? Is it a couple 100,000?
Pretty close.
Yeah. So there's probably, a dozen people that are really decision makers. And then there's, there might be a couple hundred people that think they're in positions of power, but they're really just
sheep.
Yeah. They're
just go out and repeat what the big boys tell them to say.
Yeah.
So I want to thank Pete Hegseth for trying to make our military stronger. And we have Nick Bussey, who's been joining us on Mountaintop making these short videos. And I want to play this one for you and get your guys' reaction, because the media is tearing apart Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump for wanting to have a strong military.
Oh, no. I think having a strong military is absolutely very, very, very important. And if you look at Dwight Eisenhower's resignation speech, we should play that at the end. Have you ever seen Dwight Eisenhower's?
I haven't seen it. I've heard it. Beware of the military-industrial complex.
Yes, but he also talks about how important it is to have a strong military to prevent situations. Go ahead. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. So I'm going to play this video by Nick Bussey and get your guys' reaction.
All right, let's cut through the noise. Now, you probably saw the headlines. Pete Hegseth sat down with a group of generals, and what came of it had a whole lot of people losing their damn minds. The internet filled with critics, keyboard warriors, and most of whom, I should say, have never worn the uniform a day in their life. And yet the loudest voices now seem to feel like they know what's best for our military, including that congressional candidate Baja. I don't even know his first name, but I've watched his videos, and I'll tell you, even though we need veterans in public office, that is not the guy for you. We'll stitch his video next. You'll see. Now, look, I'm not speaking from a desk job or an academic study, but I've been there. I've led men in combat, and I've seen the toll. And that's why I believe Hegseth is absolutely right. You see, the army and the military, all branches, they don't exist to check boxes on social experiments. They exist to fight, to win wars. And that means raising standards, not lowering them. You can't have a fighting force if you tolerate excuses. And here's a very important message. The military, they don't care about your pronouns. And yet so many disagree with Hegseth. Many of them safe, comfortable, never lacing up their boots, acting shocked. They want to pretend that toughness is offensive, that standards are just exclusive. You know what's offensive? Sending unprepared soldiers to fight our battles, and sending them with leaders who are too scared of Twitter backlash. The very same leaders who won't discipline. You should be thankful for this message. It's time to bring back the old military. The one that's strong, not weak, and the ones who win wars. And they do it well, because they know they are the best. And I'll say this, Pete Hegseth, he was right to sit down with all of those generals. He was right to demand clarity, to demand toughness and accountability. And as a combat veteran myself, I stand with him. If we don't get serious about restoring the culture of our military, focused on readiness, warfighting, strength, then the next time America faces a real fight, it won't be the critics that are paying the price. It'll be the warriors. And I, for one, will not stand by to see that happen. This isn't about politics. It's about survival. It's about restoring America back to the way it was once before. When 9/11 happened, we didn't have weak-minded individuals. We went forward, straight into battle. We kicked the war in its ass. We had people who loved their country. We had heroes, physically and mentally tough, trained to be proficient in their warrior tasks and drills. And guess what? That's also in the Army's creed. I think it's time we start following that. So when you start to actually discipline, hold everybody to the highest standard, and you take away woke policies, we become, once again, the fighting machine that we truly need. All right, let's cut through the noise. Now you probably...
So as long as we're fighting the good fight, all right, that guy's cutting up a pumpkin. As long as we're fighting the good fight, we're not being lied to by a bunch of liberals and going down and overthrowing a government.
Right?
Well, that's what we've been doing in our past.
Yeah.
The CIA, they've been a bunch of dirty players. I wouldn't mind seeing them dispersed, although we do need spies.
JFK was talking about that.
Oh, yes.
And then what happened?
Well, they knocked him in the head. Alan Dulles had that done.
How believable is the official narrative of the JFK assassination?
Well, it's completely believable. They shot him in the head.
Yeah.
That's the only believable part about it.
Yeah, I mean, he got shot. I mean,
that's it.
Yeah.
I believe that. But, we haven't been really good neighbors for the rest of the world. Not because we aren't good people, but because our leaders, who we thought were our leaders, were a bunch of traitors. If you want to know what went on with the United States, read The Devil's Chessboard. I read it here about 10 years ago, and I just started reading it again. I'm getting a lot more out of it. Alan Dulles, he was a traitor, and it's indicative to what's happened to our country. We've been following the wrong people. I'm proud of the way President Trump is going into cities with the military and cutting crime and letting them know this isn't happening anymore. We're turning into a third world country, and it's about time we had somebody that stood up for us. I can't believe the Biden administration opened our borders to criminals to come in and terrorize our citizens. And we support them.
Well, not only that, we're shutting our government down over it. You want to see Waters explain that real quick?
Yes, I do. I was so hoping I was trying to lead you into that. You finally got my clue.
Democrats are demanding health care for everybody.
Oh, God.
We want to save lives. We want to make sure that health care is available to those who would die, but having the help of their government.
So you're good with the government shutdown, even if it means giving health care to people who aren't American citizens?
Well, that's what you're pushing on. What you're trying to do is you're standing here and you're trying to make me say that somehow we're going to put non-citizens over Americans. Quit it. Stop it. This is the kind of journalism we don't need.
No, I'm just
you're
asking.
divisive.
Keep
No,
watching.
you're not.
Yeah, no, that's
you're
what-
being divisive. No,
No, I'm
please.
not.
You don't need to ask that question. You're just trying to get controversy here. You're not going to get it from me.
It's already happening.
We want to save health care for all people. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Appreciate it.
Good work, girl.
So there you go. That's Maxine Waters, one of the brilliant people in the House of Representatives that doesn't even live in her district.
Oh, really? Doesn't even live in her own district?
No,
Is that legal?
Well, she gets away with it because she's black. That would be my opinion. But this is a prime time for Trump to thin out the government. Instead of furloughs, he's going to start firing them. And I was reading about, I saw some clips from MSNBC, and they were running down Trump saying that he's not mentally fit to be the president anymore after you heard his rambling speech to the generals. He just went on and was off subject and blubbering, and you couldn't understand him. I saw 3 clips on that, and then I went and saw his speech, listened to his speech. And, I can't believe they make that up the way they do. He did a really good speech. Some of the things he says, he repeats himself, like I get tired of him using the word beautiful. It's going to be beautiful. Sometimes it's just a little bit too much, but his speech was right on.
Yeah. Let's hear it. Are we going to put it on, or are we?
I don't know what we're doing.
Okay.
I'm
All right.
scared and I'm lost and I don't know what. Who's this right here? Here, they're going to talk about Trump's speech right now. Hit it and hit the sound button there, Leslie. To the right. No, not. Yeah, right there.
Troops. Plus, we're now 6 hours into the government shutdown after Congress and the White House failed to reach an agreement on how to extend federal funding. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer will join us live from Capitol Hill to discuss the next steps for Democrats. So good morning and welcome to Morning Joe. It is Wednesday, October 1st. And Joe, we have a lot to get to. We're in a shutdown.
Yep.
And that speech, I'm thinking with Pete Hegseth, the Defense Secretary, and the president, in some ways you kind of felt like until you got to the part about the cities, could have been a Zoom, Did you have to bring everybody in from all over the place? Jeez.
Well, and the address by Pete Hegseth, the generals and the admirals, and they were all having to be seething with contempt, going, wait a second, I left my troops,
right.
I left the forward positions that I had been put in to defend America and defend American interests across the globe, to come have this guy lecture me about warrior ethos and some bizarre pep rally. And then Donald Trump came up, and as we said yesterday, all of his talk was, he talked about everything but windmills. It was very strange, kind of meandering, strange because, again, it was like a campaign speech that you might have seen late in the campaign. That was Willie up until the very end when, as the Wall Street Journal says, Donald Trump told our military leaders that he may want to use the military against Americans, saying the enemy within, talking about using the United States military to train, think about this, to train on attacking Americans. That is, I don't care what party you're in. I don't care how MAGA you are. I don't care how long you've been supporting Donald.
Now, let me bring something to your attention while they're still on the screen there. See how their eyes are closer together than normal? That's a typical libretard.
Yeah, what
See
is
how
going?
their ears are a little bit lower? That's fetal alcohol syndrome.
Are you messing with me, or are you serious?
I'm messing with you.
Okay. Well, their eyes are kind of close together.
Oh, that's typical of liberals. You can spot them a mile away. Beady little snake eyes close together.
But not only that, but Biden also talked about testing bombs on American people and testing military equipment on American people. And he said that just to test the equipment, not because, like Trump's doing, trying to shut down cities that are being burned to the ground and actual internal threats.
Cleaning up crime. They went into one apartment building, I believe it was 6 stories tall, and they cleaned the whole damn thing out. They arrested 29 illegal criminals, illegal alien criminals. And there was 2 people in there that weren't illegal. They pulled everybody out. Well, that's good.
I think that's illegal to say illegal. Is
Well,
it illegal now?
Well, you know, I'm uneducated, so I don't know.
Your grandfathered into it to
That's right.
say what you want.
That's right. But you know, you talk to the citizens of these cities, Washington D.C. What was the other one? Tennessee, Memphis, Tennessee, and now Portland. They're in Portland, Chicago. I can walk down the street with my kids now and go to the park. I wasn't able to do that a month ago. Have you seen people say that? I have.
Are you talking about Caldwell Park or up in Portland? I'm sorry,
I'm talking about Washington, D.C.
Oh, Washington,
mainly.
D.C. I'm sorry.
I can take my family to a restaurant now. I'm not worried
Yes.
about getting shot.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know, it was that bad. It's hard for us living here in Redding, California, to really vision that. But that's the way it was. People were afraid to go out. They stayed at home. They were prisoners in their own home because the criminals have taken over.
Yeah, we felt like that at Caldwell Park. Even it was really weird because I grew up on Loma Street across from Caldwell Park, and now I just live 2-3 minutes away from it right now. So I spent the last 34 years kind of like on the River Trail and in that area. And Caldwell Park, I love the park, but there was a time where nobody went there. Nobody, no regular family people would go there because it was just overrun by criminals, even right here in Redding.
Do you remember who the police chief was then?
It might have been Blankenship.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. When did Blankenship retire?
I don't know what year, but it was the year before Modi took over. It was
probably, when did Modi take over? Do you know?
No, I don't know the
Because
year.
I'm talking, this was probably
25 years ago Modi took over.
I guess this was definitely not Blankenship. He was like, because no, definitely not Blankenship. Because this would have been probably about, because we actually had, my son's only 13 years old. So I remember during that time where it got really bad is she wouldn't go there with the kids. So maybe it was a dozen years ago, 10 years ago, maybe.
I recall a letter to the editor that a swim team came up to the aquatic center for a swim meet. This team was from Sacramento, probably Davis. And they wrote a letter that they would never come back to Redding because of the vagrancy and they were afraid to even go outside the facilities because of the people that were running around Caldwell Park. But I remember when Modi was the police chief, and crime went down when Modi was police chief, and I'll tell you why. They were instructed, in my opinion, everything's a civil matter. Oh, we can't arrest them for stealing your stuff out of your garage. They said you could have it. This is a civil matter. You couldn't get the police to arrest somebody unless it was really, really bad. And I'm sure that was orders from above. And, I believe that the city police have a rough old road to hoe in a lot of ways because they might not agree with the policies that they have to adhere to, like how they handled the homeless. I wouldn't doubt if, they just wish they had some place to take them and lock them up and get them out of our hair. I live about 150 yards from Hartnell Avenue, where it makes the corner right there, about the 400 block. And last night about 6:30 or 7, it was earlier than that, I hear a loudspeaker, and it had to be the police, "Get out of the road." So you got some homeless drone blocking traffic in the middle of the road. And, what do you do with them?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, like I said, at least we should just have to deal with our own problems and not be inviting all these other people from other places.
We are. It's not going to change, and that's the way it is.
Well, I don't accept that. I don't accept that.
Then we need to lead the push to get rid of them. And how do you do that? How are you going to get rid of this?
We have to clean up these we have to expose and clean up these nonprofits that are profiting. These profiting nonprofits. That's an oxymoron, huh? But we have to expose this stuff, and they're playing on people's emotions. So that's how you do it. You get rid of these politicians that are part of this problem. You get rid of the nonprofits, or at least get these nonprofits and politicians in line with representing.
But the politicians and the police chiefs, when they retire, they join the nonprofits. They know how to make things work.
Only because people aren't paying attention, and things are changing now. People are starting to wake up to decades and of corruption that is now, things are coming to light now. And I think that people are going to wake up. They're going to get motivated. They're going to rediscover themselves. They're going to stop only caring about sports and other things, which I think sports are great, and I'm not against it, but we have to get more involved in holding people's feet to the fire and recalling them and getting them out of office and voting people that actually stand for us, we the people. And I think it's going to happen. Well, I wanted to play these videos. Go ahead and just play the first one. It's 22 seconds. I mean, you're probably going to have to get the commercial out of the way. I'm sure there's some kind of commercial. There we go. Here, make that bigger. All right, that's what the Chinese kids are doing.
They're making guns.
Well, they're learning how to field strip them. So anyways, yeah, I mean, so going back to Hegseth and his speech and being, man, we've been so woke. Here, go ahead and, here we go. Here's Russia.
Well, just throw that stuff around.
Well, those AK-47s are pretty good. They're durable, and you could be pretty rough with them, and they're. Do you think they let anybody go in a safe space when it comes time to learn how to do this? Go ahead, that's enough. I mean, they're just, do it over and over and over and over again until, I mean, look, I'm not.
Well, personally, I think every kid in the United States, when he graduates from high school, should go in the military for 2 years and learn how to handle a gun. What is it? Is it Switzerland or Sweden where you're required to have a gun in your home? Yeah, in Switzerland. And it's not everybody. I actually kind of got fact-checked by somebody, and they're only if you, there's exceptions, but yes, almost there's exceptions to everything. If you're disabled, or like say there's a house that there's no fit person to have a gun necessarily, but almost every home has somebody that did a mandatory 6 months training, and you're required to have a gun, and once a year you get free ammo from the government to go practice your shooting. And I believe you're supposed to practice, you're supposed to like make sure you remember how to shoot, so 20 years doesn't go by and you're like, how do I shoot this gun, But look, so yeah, I like that. I don't know about 2 years, but I think I like 6 months at least. But the thing is, this should be a part of school too. And I don't think so. I think the school ought to teach the 3 R's and let the parents raise their kids, and the government set some standards. Everybody needs to learn how to use a gun. An armed society is a polite society. Let's play that next clip real quick. We'll see. This one's definitely going to have an ad. Go ahead and maybe we'll talk. Well, nope, never mind. Is there a volume?
Без ответов, но разве ты могут остаться без ответа в твоей новой жизни? Что ты знаешь о себе? На что ты способен? Вопросы могут остаться без ответов, но разве ты сумел знать себя? Познать границы своих возможностей? К черту границы, а без боя нет победы. Но на самом деле, главный враг — это задача выследить врага, догнать его, превзойти, стать лучше, чем он.
It begins in California.
Toxic masculinity.
With a little girl raised by 2 moms. I also marched for equality. I like to think I've been defending freedom from an early age. To marry my other mom. With such powerful role models, I finished high school at the top of my class. And after meeting with an Army recruiter, I found it. A way to prove my inner strength. I'm U.S. Army Corporal Emma Malone Lord, and I answered my calling.
You know, and there's so much. I mean, they literally had the top person was a man dressed as a woman. And I mean, they actually talked about the agenda of the military. Like the number one priority was DEI and LGBTQ.
RST.
The alphabet stuff.
Yes.
You know, and it was just, so I agree.
Pete says, we're done with that.
Yeah.
We're the Department of War. If we fight to win.
Yeah, and lead through strength. When you're a kid, I don't know if anybody else, like I went to a school, it's called Andros Caperos when I moved to Yuba City. And like I got jumped a lot, and I had to learn how to be strong. And like you just get picked on if you don't fight back because you're an easy target. I mean, pick you up, throw you in a garbage can, spit on you, you know, stuff like that. And, you know, you got to learn how to be strong, or else you just get pushed around and taken advantage of.
That's right. In every aspect of life.
Yeah. Well, what else you got for us, Nick?
Well, I think we're about done for the day.
Are we done? Are you done listening to my voice?
I went by and chatted with Clint Curtis yesterday, and I glanced in. I'm real impressed with our ROV and our new polling place over there where you vote.
He's just a great guy. And, you know, you know, somebody the other day said he went to some LGBTQ event, and I think that's great. I could care less. If he does a good job with our voting stuff, and I'm all for freedom of speech. I know doesn't support pedophiles, and I think that, you know, and he's doing a great job with what we hired him to do, and I don't think we could have anyone better than him, to be honest. We're really lucky and blessed to have him here in Shasta County.
I went to a League of Women's Voters Saturday. That doesn't make me a woman.
Right.
That was entertaining.
Was it?
35 liberals and me.
All right.
My buddy Thomas was there with me.
Oh, yeah?
But, yeah, you know, and they talked about the tax. Of course, you know, Tonto and the Pillsbury Doughboy was there, and they got to talk about the tax and tell them how Chico has a 9.25% tax, and Redding doesn't have any. We just pay 7.15. So I asked, what's Chico got that's so much better than we have? They've got a 2-cent tax. And one lady said, better restaurants.
Yeah, well, I don't know. How does more tax help the restaurants? Yeah, we could use some better restaurants though. But the reality is nobody's going out and eating. Nobody can afford it.
That's right.
I wouldn't open a restaurant right now, and with the costs of food going up, it's outrageous. I mean, there's things that I was, you know, used to buy, and stuff goes from $4 to $10. What do you do when you know, do you make the hamburger smaller? Do you get some pink slime meat that's soaked in ammonia that scraps off the floor? Do you charge more because you're paying twice as much? I mean, the taco truck at my place, I mean, a box of limes went from $50 to $100. I don't know if you've noticed or anybody else has noticed, but we were talking about the prices going up. Man, the last couple months, it really started catching up. I mean, my coffee that I get at Costco, it's an organic coffee, was $12.99 a pound, $12.99 for a 2-pound bag. It went from $12.99 to $14.99, and then I just went again. It's at $18.99, and I'm seeing that all across the board with meat to coffee to vegetables, you name it. Whatever you're trying to buy seems like it's really going up in price. So I feel bad for the people with the restaurants.
Thank you, Joe Biden.
Yeah, your plan is working.
Oh, well, no, Trump's putting a kink into it.
All right. Thanks, Nick. I always appreciate you, my friend.
Hey, I appreciate you having me on here. You know, I go to businesses and they put up the closed sign, turn off the lights, pull the shades. You just welcome me in.